Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome back to episode 10. Wow, 10 episodes
And
of the Improv Live, Fernando's Improv Blog podcast. Today, I have my wonderful friend, the amazing Diosa. Diosa, what's up?
hola, ¿qué tal? What's up, Fernando? How you
I,
doing?
I'm doing good, Diosa. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's always good to see you.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So,
Yeah, too bad we're not on stage right now. Well, technically, this is like a stage, no?
I mean, this is the best. I know I've learned to lean into this digital world. I'm embracing it because it's the best we can do right now. But one day we'll do improv again, Diosa. I'm confident of that. And just so everyone
Yeah.
knows, that's how I know Diosa. Diosa is an amazing improviser and stand-up comedian, and she does sketch comedy and all kinds of other amazing stuff. And she's like a low-key guerrilla, like graffiti artist, I think, or and also
A little
and like
vandal, a
and,
little
and like a
vandal.
photographer as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, with my secret page.
I
My
love your
secret,
secret page.
yeah, my secret Instagram page. Putting me on
Oh,
blast, Fernando?
Oh,
Come
I
on,
mean,
man.
you said it, not me. I just love you. You're very expressive, and now you're cooking, right? Aren't you like cooking a lot as well?
Yeah, you know what? So I feel like a lot of us like developed a lot of new skills with the pandemic. It seems like the whole United States had like this trend of like dancing with the TikTok videos, and I'm like, I can't dance, so I like took TikTok in a different way and started learning like different recipes. And I mean, I've always loved food. Food has always been. I actually had a podcast myself, and like it was on comedy, culture, and the culinary arts. So yeah, my best friend is an amazing cook. And she's been teaching me how to like cook, and it's great. I love it. It's a new journey. It's a new me, new year, new me, right? Yeah.
Well, man, like these chiles you're selling, they look really good, and I'm like, wow, you must really believe in them because to sell food, it's one thing to give away food, like, oh, try it because if it's not good, all right, whatever. But to charge someone to be like, hey, I'm gonna actually charge you for this,
Yeah.
that means you
And
gotta have confidence in what you're selling.
oh, 1,000%. So the company actually itself is Mommy's Chiles. It's not my recipe. Um, I I am from LA. I'm a very big avid fan of Latino culture. I love Mexican culture. My best friend's Mexican, so she has this great recipe brought on from her mom, hence the name Mommy's Chiles. And she took me actually pretty much underneath her wing to kind of be like her sous chef. And we're kind of just doing this together right now, and it's amazing. It really is how much you can learn about other cultures through food.
I think people, the first time they interact with a culture that isn't their own, it's through food.
Yeah,
It's the
I agree.
easiest way.
Yeah, I agree. And I can't. My background is that my mom is a terrible cook, like absolute, like bad. Like it looks like movie orphanage food. You know, it's like those sopitas telling you, nah, dog, don't eat us, don't eat us. Yeah. So for me, like becoming a woman, yeah, I really took that traditional role of like, and I'm not even seeing it as a traditional role as a woman. It's just more as like to explore new cultures. And yeah, the kitchen is amazing. I actually do have a restaurant background, so
Oh my God, yes, you do. I forget that you're kind of a like, I don't want to say jack of all trades, but
I know.
you have like a wide variety of experiences.
I do. It's called getting hit by putazos of life. That's what it is. You
Is that
just
the name
kind
of your
of,
bio or what?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, los putazos de la vida.
That's a good
Volumes
name for
one
a
and
book.
two. Yeah,
Oh,
right.
dude, that's a good name for a book. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, the reason I say that is because I think as a comedian, the more experiences you have, the better. And the more organic experiences in terms of like, that's just your life. It wasn't you like, oh, I'm going to go seek this out for comedy, which I'm guilty of doing in the past. But
Oh, you have.
yeah, I mean, yes, any comedian and writer, they're guilty for experience. I mean, not guilty, they're thirsty for experience. Whereas
Yeah.
for you, you're just living your life. So like, what I'm saying is because you have these experiences, that makes you more rich creatively and artistically.
I agree with you 1,000%. Like, I've never really, really sought out to be a comedian up until like maybe 3 years ago. Up until then, it was just like comedy was always there. I've always laughed. I've taken the classes, but like these experiences of life are hard. Like it's not like I sought out to go to jail, or I sought out to have my dad die, or I sought out to have an alcoholic problem. It just kind of like happened, you know? So like, instead of crying over it or like making it a weakness, you know, that's what comedy does. It gives you that power back. Like, okay, I have a problem. Let me laugh at it and like, you know, address it. Obviously, it's a problem, but you know, not make it me. Like, I'm not an alcoholic. I used to have a problem and now I'm making fun of it, you know?
Okay, so you're saying that, like, I'm not saying this was you, but maybe in general, in the past, like, you experienced all these terrible things, and I could see how that would make you want to feel like a victim, and who wouldn't feel in that sense like a victim? But with comedy, you find your power again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Hey, do you do PR? You should be my publicist.
Yeah. Hey,
Or
no,
just anyone's publicist. Force feed me what I have to say, please. Tell
no,
me.
I'm,
Make
I'm
me
just, I'm
sound
just a
smart.
good listener. I'm just a good listener. I have had too many conversations where someone, just the way they are, you can say something nice to them and they'll like want to attack you back or something. You're not one of those people, but I'm just saying it's a habit I've developed for everyone because you want to be respectful of them and stuff like that.
That's nice.
But
And that's what makes you a great improv partner. Hey,
oh man, thank you. Well, you're a great improv partner too. You're like you really go for it. You're really fun. You're like, but that's you in general though. I feel like your life, you kind of just, if you're like feeling something, like go for it. Is that who you are?
yeah, for the most part, like I'm pretty like free spirited, but I mean, I have the liberty because I'm not in a relationship. I don't have any children, you know, and I could just like really like my responsibilities are like my rent and a plant that may or may have not died maybe about a week ago, but you know, and yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I'm pretty much I've kind of been like that all my life, just kind of like not impulsive, maybe bold,
Maybe.
bold. That's the word. Bold.
I think bold fits you perfectly. I think you're a bold person. I don't think you're impulsive because I feel like at least from just because I've known you not for long, but I feel like I know you probably better than other people in terms of just
Yeah.
the things that think like a lot of improv shows, just hanging out. I
Yeah.
think I think bold's a good word for you because when I feel impulsive, it feels like someone like they're bored and they'll do something and then they'll just drop it. Where I feel like with the things you're trying things like, oh, you know what? I have a feeling about this. I want to go try it and give it my all. And then if it works, I'll keep doing it. If it doesn't work, I'm done. But I feel like impulsive is like, I don't know. I'm just a cat. It's like
Yeah.
a play toy. Which
Hilarious.
I don't think that's who you are. You're just kind of like, I don't know. You're a ship that has many sails and can take many winds.
Ooh, I like that. Let me up it up a notch. I'm a yacht with different
Yeah.
motors. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right. All
Exactly.
right. I like that. I dig it. I dig it.
What so here's the thing I want to ask actually, just from talking to you in this conversation, which has been great. Have you always been creative? Were you like a creative child, or did you have creative instincts when you were younger?
Good question. Yeah, I've been pretty much creative like all my life. Like I used to doodle a lot. And I remember specifically, oh, actually, this is a bad story. Never mind. Yeah, I used to doodle a lot, and it was going to be sad, but I'm like, I used to doodle a lot. I used to have a wild imagination, but I mean, wild. Like, I feel like kid Christian is still in mujer Christian because I
That's
just
good
have
though.
yeah, it's great. I have a sense of wonder. I love cartoons and bright colors, and yeah, I've always been attracted to like creative things.
Okay, so that's good that you have always had that and you haven't lost that connection to
Yeah.
your creative self. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier in terms of like, taking back your power. Why did you want to become a comedian? Was it just you've always wanted a comedian and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it, or an
I
opportunity presented itself, or so how did that develop?
I okay, so I didn't really watch TV growing up. Um, you know, like I know a lot of comedians. That's the one thing that I'm like dissociated with like the comedy world is that comedians really watch a lot of TV and a lot of films. And I'm not that person. I'll listen to a lot of music, but I rarely watch TV. But I remember growing up watching just Mad TV. More specifically, yeah, Mad TV. And I would just think like, how do you become that? How do you do that? And then I got a little older and I started watching what is it? Strangers with Candy.
Oh, I remember that show. Yeah, with Amy
What's
Sedaris' sister. Is it
yeah,
Amy Sedaris?
Amy
Yeah, that was a
Sedaris.
fucked up
Yeah,
show.
dude, that show changed my life. That
Really?
show, and then there was another show afterward, the Upright Citizens Brigade with Amy Poehler and like the original people that
Those
did
are
it.
around the same time, yeah.
So those were the two shows that I would watch in high school. Just those two. And all throughout like college and life happened, whatever. And then, in my early 30s, that's when I was like, you know what? I think I could do this. Yeah, let me take some classes at UCB and let me do some stuff. And I became very blessed and got to meet people like you, and other people in the community. And I kind of stuck.
No, I think that's great. It's funny that you bring up that show. I think you're right. Comedians, the majority of comedians have a greater knowledge of random TVs and movies and pop culture than maybe your average person, because we have such a deep pool of references. And it's just, you're right. That's like, no one goes out watching TV and movies for that reason. It's just, you watch so much and you find what you like, and eventually you're like, I want to do it. It's like, if you read a lot of books as a kid, you're probably going to end up some kind of writer when you become an adult. It's just a natural outcome. So if you watch too much TV and movies, you might want to be a comedian or an actor or something. So that's a natural. I think that's pretty natural to me. So you watch these two shows. Let's talk about Strangers of Candy. Could you tell us about that show? I want to say it's fucked up. I mean, it's not that it's fucked up. It's just like, that show kind of back then, you didn't see a lot of them now. Right now, it'd be a super popular Netflix show or something.
Yeah,
but back then it was like, shit, that's kind of like radical for the time.
Oh, immensely. That show to me was just, okay. So those who haven't seen the show, is about like this like deadbeat 40-year-old woman who decides to take her life back. So she goes back to her parents or her dad's house, and her dad is pretty much dead, has like a stepmom. Excuse me, she has a stepmom. Anyway, she goes back to high school as a 40-year-old to leave exactly where she fucked up in her life, which was her senior year in high school. And it sounds strange, and it is. There's one particular episode that I remember. Okay, so Amy Sedaris plays the character. She's like 40 or she looks really old.
No, she's like 50, I think.
She looks super vieja.
Like, she was like a stripper before or something, or like a
she was into meth, she was into meth, she was into everything, just like a horrible life. And then all of a sudden, like for her midlife crisis, she wants to take her life back. So there's one episode where like she's in class and they bring a new student to the school and he's blind, but he's a fine ass guy. So she asked him to prom. And obviously, because he's blind, she said yes. And like, it's after prom, and like, he's like feeling on her and like kissing her. And then he goes to like touch her breast, but she's like 50. So she puts an apple on her, like underneath her like shirt. And he's like, okay, I've never felt that. And then he tries to like touch her crotch, and she puts like a tape dispenser. And it is absolutely the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen in my life to this day. And this was like more than 20 years ago. Oh my God. But it's ridiculous. And then because of her, I discovered David Sedaris. And that's when I knew I really wanted to become a comedian.
Really? Yeah. Wow. Okay. So were you reading David Sedaris back when he was first coming up?
No. Like I later found out, like, this is like, okay, so Strangers with Candy in high school. I'm not going to pretend I was smart. I still am not. Okay. So I wasn't reading David Sedaris in high school. Let's get that straight. Okay. Right. It was like a couple of years later where I revisited the show. And then I realized, because we had Wikipedia back then, or it was just coming out, that Amy Sedaris had a brother named David Sedaris, who was also a comedian. And I read, what is it? Talk to Me Pretty. You read that book?
Oh yes, I have them. I think that's his first book. Me
Yeah.
Talk Pretty, something like
Me
that.
Talk Pretty. Yeah. Me Talk Pretty and Dress Your Family Up in Corduroy. I've never been a big, I mean, now I am as an adult. I like reading because I know now that I could read comedy and not just boring books, you know? As like a child, I was like, oh, I'm limited to this. But now I'm like, oh, cool. But I think David Sedaris really, really helped me out. Like even his life story is really like just it's amazing. He's so funny, and the way he says it is just chef's kiss.
Oh my god, he is very funny. Just he has so many funny things. His family sounds nuts too.
Rooster?
Yeah. Oh, his
Yeah.
brother, right? There's a rooster.
He has a brother named Rooster. He has Amy. He has like some other girl. Yeah, it's like four. They're like four siblings.
Oh man, so for him, was it more just like, how did he unlock this other comedy part of yourself? So like, because I feel different types of comedy that as fans or as students, we watch a certain comedian, and I think you're kind of like, oh, you can do that? I don't know you could do that. Or like, wow, I never thought about doing that. Oh, I want to approach it this way. So like, what was it about Diosa Sedaris' writing that you're like, oh shit, this blew my mind, or this opened me up somehow? What was the result of that?
I know exactly that. I know exactly the answer to this. When he started writing about how he like dropped out of art school or like dropped out of college and started doing drugs, I was just like, yo, I can relate to that. I can relate to that on so many fucking levels. And like just knowing, like, just, I know it's like very degenerate and I'm not a degenerate anymore, but like it was just very relatable because I think at the time I was trying to be like an art history major and I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna like, work at a museum and try to be cool. And then I'm like, no, I can't draw. And you do need to take drawing and oil painting classes to be an art historian. Okay. That's why I dropped out because I can't draw for shit. I could doodle.
Oh.
I could doodle, but I can't paint. Anyways, yeah, so it just his life stories. It was just really relatable. Just I don't know. It's just a lot that he has to go through. And I'm going through a lot right now. And the more I like think about it, the more I'm just like, David Sedaris is a hero in my book. Cause it's like you're going through so much and you're still making people laugh. Like it's so easy to just kind of just quit and be like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna do something else.
I feel you. I know that you're going through a lot, so I could see how someone else, someone else's journey is inspiration. That hey, they got through it, I can get through it as well. So I hope you get through all this stuff. You're a strong woman. I'm
Yeah,
confident
I
you
know.
will.
Yeah, no, we're good. Like, yeah, and the whole thing is like life doesn't really get easier. We just get better at it. So.
Damn, that was a good quote. You gotta put that like in a meme or something.
You in my
Uh,
yearbook, in my grave, on my grave.
did you have a high school yearbook? Did you do that whole high school yearbook thing?
Yeah, I did.
You did? Nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging. I hated my high school. Not that I hated it, but like as soon as it was over, I was like, I'm out of here. So I was
Me
like,
too.
I'm not buying a high school yearbook. I'm like, I
Yeah,
know I'm not gonna keep this.
yeah. A lot of, especially comedians, say they had like really shitty, like high school experiences and all that. It wasn't bad for me. Like I think it's because I wasn't fucking in high school, so I didn't really have any problems. Once you start getting into relationships, I learned the hard way is that when life gets complicated. But in high school, it was just easy. Like high school was, I still have some friends. I have one friend particularly, like my best friend from high school that I still talk to. But other than that, it's like, whatever. Who
Were you
cares?
funny in high school?
Yes, I've been funny. You know what? I come from a really funny family. So yes, I was very funny.
You like the funny one in your group?
No. You know what? Yes and no. Yes and no. Like we were all funny. We were all hilarious. There was one particular girl, the girl that I still talk to, her name is Vanessa. Um, she was very much out there. She was great. We both had musical theater. We both took musical theater. Mind you, we couldn't sing, but we took it because we loved theater. and we love to laugh. And you know, we ended up writing the script for like this, like for the musical theater play, and it was cool. It was cool.
Oh, okay. So you guys were the funny group then.
Yeah, it was like the funny, like I think like out of 4 of us, only one of us was like really dating someone, and the rest of us were like just kind of enjoying, like, you know, like life. You know,
I
like
mean,
we tend to think that like 17-year-olds are adults, and like, you know, they should be doing adult things. But now that I look at a 17 or a 16-year-old, I'm like, girl, why you fucking like take it
oh,
easy. Like learn how
or
to drive, like take it easy. So
I feel you, or use a condom, or get on birth control or something like that. I feel you. I went to Catholic school most of my life, and then because of an economic downfall, I had to go to public school for my last 3 years of high school, and I went to fucking like the most Mexican high school there is in the world, Santa High School. So it was culture shock. I felt like I was deported. Uh,
hilarious.
yeah, I'm serious. I feel like I was deported. It was crazy. Remember, there's this girl, man. She was so cute. I forgot her name, but she came on and was like, "Oh my god, this is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life." You know, 3 months later, she was fucking pregnant. She came and she was like a full blown pregnant, and I was like, "Oh, that poor girl. She must have been 15 or 16." And I remember there's other girls who they had their kids sophomore year or whatever, and they'd work really hard to come back senior year, and I felt bad for them because they were trying so hard to regain that like lost youth of high school or whatever, and have a regular senior year and graduate with their friends and all that stuff, while still having to be like a young mother and stuff like that, and having to juggle that stuff. I always felt bad for them, you know, because they're all amazing people. They're always very nice, but I was like, a part of me was kind of like, man, that's got to be so hard. I remember this one time. I was in theater class. I was in senior year of theater. I was like in the acting program. Theater program was the only thing that saved me, was this theater and the film program. I was in those programs, and that's all I went to school for. And I barely cared about fucking high school. I really graduated. I graduated with like a 1.9 or something. Like
Yeah.
the school like kicked me out, basically saying like, you know, you're taking up space, which is what high school graduation is. Kids graduate because there's other kids who need to take their spot, and that's what it is. And it's just like a fucking beef mill. Well, anyways, there was this girl who she had a kid at 17, and her family was helping her out, and she really liked me, and I liked her too, but I didn't know that she liked me that much. She's like, "Hey, do you want to help me raise my kid?"
Oh my god.
And I was 17 too. I was like, "Hey man, I'm just a kid. I can't be
Yeah.
raising a kid." It wasn't my kid either, you know. So
Yeah.
that sounds
No.
fucked up, but
Yeah. Damn, she was really trying. She really needed a baby daddy.
I feel bad, man. Like, you know, that sucks for that kid. Who knows what happened to that kid? Like, I remember one time I held my mom's friend's baby. My mom's friend's daughter. She was around my age, and we were still like teenagers. She had a baby with some guy, and the like guy wasn't coming around a lot, unfortunately. And I picked up the baby, and the baby thought I was its dad. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm not your dad," but I held it because I'm a human being and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
So, but then I was like, "Oh fuck," I gave back the baby when it was time. But it's a thing where I feel you. Like a lot of, especially our gente, a lot of Latino kids, they get trapped into the trap of being an adult, and then they have kids too fast, or they get into debt too fast. That's like a type of child. Or they're like, I'm gonna go be a thug, and they get in over their heads. So in a way, I feel what you're saying is just surviving those limiting circumstances is a goal in itself, because you need to survive those things in order to be an artist.
True. What is it? What's bad for your heart is good for your art.
Oh shit, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, I'm giving you all the good ones, dude. Better write them down.
I know, man. So what you're saying is you're happy you've had like a relatively normal life, or normal progression of the stages of development.
I feel like I have, a lot of okay, yes, because like a lot of women my age have like kids, they're established, they have, this thing called happiness and all this bullshit, but like I'm okay. I pursued my dreams. I'm pursuing my dreams. I'm living on my own. I'm not asking anyone for anything. I'm working hard. I've traveled, I've been blessed to travel alone. I've been blessed to travel, like I've had money, I've lost money, I've had people that I've loved, I've had people that have died close to me. So like I really feel like I've gone through this wheel of fortune, and you know, and I know it keeps going, hence the wheel of fortune. It just, I know things are going to continue happening, but you know, I'm ready for it.
Well, speaking of Wheel of Fortune, and I know we can't talk about comedy, but we're talking about life, and life is comedy. I know
Yes.
that you're really into like magic and stuff like that. Could you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, you know, all my life I've been kind of like interested in the in goddesses, I should say. I've always had hence the name Diosa, which by the way is not my real name, but whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I've always been fascinated with like folklore and scary movies and just the occult and everything just magical. And maybe about a couple of years ago, I want to say like maybe 8, I was like 2 years after my father passed away, I started getting into like tarot and my horoscopes and you know knowing about signs and stuff like that. And I know it's been very trendy the past couple of years, but I love it. I love this trend, and I love the fact that like we have, you know, platforms where we can investigate more. You know, like a lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, it's trendy, this whole like horoscope and magic and thing." But if you think about it, like, yo, like there's access to information that none of us had before. Like like if you think about like tarot or astrology or anything like that, like only certain people knew about it and you had to go to certain people, and now it's just kind of like universal, and if you really want to explore that part of you, then you can. So
Why? So what is the appeal of magic to you? You know, like I know as you know, our gente, you know, a lot of Latinx people, we grew up around magic. So it's not, I don't say it's like a crazy thing. It's kind of normal, but like let's say we all agree, okay, I'll read my horoscope. Maybe that's
yeah,
like base level agreement for everyone. Even like the super Catholic people still read their horoscope, right? What is it about magic that you like? What did you find in it that kept pulling you back to it?
I think it's the, I mean obviously the mystery. No, but the history of it, like the fact that like what you know in these creation stories, most of all, like you know back then like our ancestors, like how would they explain things, and like they couldn't really, like you know like rain or thunder and all that, and you know these stories are so old, and why do they still continue? Like why do we still keep on to these traditions? Why do we still keep on listening to these stories? And how are they all interconnected? You know, like the story of like Madre Monte, like the Mother Nature. It's like this. Have you heard of Madre Monte?
Oh,
Madre
no,
Monte.
you have to educate me here in this one.
No, Madre Monte is this. How can I say this? She's like a forest nymph or a forest goddess, I should say, that protects the forest. So anytime anyone would go into the forest without asking for permission or like killing animals or like knocking down trees in the Amazons, you know, Madre Monte would come out and, you know, pretty much kill you. And if you go to Colombia and Medellin, like the botanical gardens, there's actually a statue dedicated to Madre Monte. Obviously Madre Monte doesn't exist, but I like the fact that like, you know, why is it that my culture made up Madre Monte? Why did they make up this woman monster to protect the nature? You know, sometimes as humans we need a little bit of like embellishment, a little bit of entertainment to get our point across. And I feel like, you know, folklore stories or mystery stories, ghost stories were like the original comedians, you know, the original storytellers. So it's fascinating. I love listening to these scary stories and just knowing like, I don't know, it just fascinates me. I think it's because it definitely doesn't have to do with humans, but there's still human aspects to it, like evil.
Oh, okay. So there's these. I like how you put out the parallel between as comedians we tell stories, and that's what gets people to connect with us and follow. And
Yeah.
here, in indigenous people or native people, is like you know that part of us that is native. It has these stories, these myths that serve a greater purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made me realize that right now.
Yeah, and think about, like, it's not just, Latinos. This goes for the whole human, um race. Like, if you think about, like there's different kinds of, I've been studying a lot of different goddesses, like Mayan goddesses, Mexican goddesses, Colombian goddesses, what is it, Norse and Celtic goddesses.
Yeah.
And it's just fascinating that, like, even though they're a world apart, literally, like someone in like Norway, like they still have like some creation story that connects to something like with Aztecs, you know?
There's like
And
these parallels that cross cultures.
yes, I feel like, well, yeah. And then with astrology, it's like the stars, like everyone sees the stars. So it's kind of cool. It's like a common story for everyone.
Okay, so what is there an exact moment where you took the plunge, where you were like, all right, I'm into magic now? Or was it a gradual thing that pulled you in and then one day you realized, oh shit, I'm into magic?
I think it was a gradual thing. Like I was gifted well, I've been going to ladies. How can I say this without sounding crazy? I would like, as since I was a girl, like maybe like 17, 18, I've been going to women who read your tea leaves.
Oh my God, I've heard of that. And could you go a little further into that? I mean, I just know
Yeah.
the like improv thing people
So
do, but what does
yeah,
it actually
so
mean?
so it could actually be tea leaves or it could be coffee grinds. But essentially what you do is you have the reader, they serve you a little bit of the drink, tea or coffee, and then you sip it, and then the woman reads the coffee grinds or the tea grinds, and it kind of just says something, or like a divination of like what can happen. Now these, like when I talk about magic, I don't really mean like, oh, rabbit in a hat or something like that. It's more like, they're kind of tools to kind of like give you perspective to things. So like, this woman read my tea, and yeah, she said some crazy thing, like, the something about my neighbor. I don't remember, whatever.
How
But
old were you when this first happened? When
I
was
think
like
it was like I was like just out of high school, because out of high school I went to Colombia for like a couple of months, maybe like 9 months, to
oh
like,
wow, 9 months? Shit.
yeah,
It's a long
yeah,
time.
yeah. I know. I was there for a while. Yeah, I was like, fuck school. I'm gonna go a semester in Colombia.
No, that's
Um,
awesome. So d- did someone recommend you this person, or did you find them
so
initiative? Like
yeah,
what caused it?
I have an auntie who's my favorite auntie. She has her personal like lady who would read her tarot cards. And then she was also really into stones and into like chakras. And like, I always thought my tia's my favorite aunt. She is
Mhm.
a badass woman. When you talk about Diosa, she's a Diosa. She still is. Boss ass bitch. What is it? A criminal defense lawyer for like ex-paramilitary in Colombia, like got her degree, her law degree later on in life, and is just kicking ass. But anyways, like growing up, she used to be like a beauty model. So she was very like, I don't know, she had these witches around her. Now that I think about it, now that I'm talking to you about it, like, yeah, these ladies were pretty much fucking witches, which they would like go and read her tarot and tell her about, the energy she would have. And she would like ask me to give her an apple for like some love potion. And I didn't really think about it too much. I'm just like, all right, Theo, whatever. But now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, you were doing magic, you crazy ass bitch. And you didn't tell me.
So magic was a
Yeah.
part of her life, like it was just everyday
Yeah, it
magic
was
for
just like
her.
an everyday thing. It was just so casual. And so I didn't really think about it. I had my first experience with like that lady reading my tea. Also, my really, really first experience with tarot has been really fucking weird. So I got back from Colombia, and then I had my first boyfriend. I think I was 19. And my mom went to Colombia and talked to that lady. And when my mom came back, she's like, that lady told me you're not a virgin anymore. And I like was so embarrassed that, first of all, why is this lady, tarot lady, telling me, like,
That's a
telling my
sketch idea
mom
right
these
there.
things? Yeah, right? Like, yeah, now that I think
Wow,
about it,
wow, that's a
savage. Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, wait,
Uh,
but now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, no shit. It's like, it's my first boyfriend. Of course I'm gonna lose my virginity to him. Like, come on, mom. Like, you don't need a fucking tarot lady to tell you that. Like, duh. But yeah, and then I kind of just like, that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and I didn't really like think about it that much. I'd like read my horoscope here and there, blah blah blah. But yeah, maybe about like 5-6 years ago, a good friend of mine gave me a tarot deck, which is how you should get your first tarot deck. It should be a gift.
oh, really? How come? Why should it be a gift?
Sorry. Are you here? Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just like some tradition. It's traditional. You don't
Is that
have to. It's
no? But
bullshit, whatever.
you
If you
know,
buy
no.
it yourself, go for it. But it would be nice in the traditional way that someone gifted to you.
But why is that tradition though? Is that so the tarot deck is effective or clean or something? Like, what is the reason behind that?
I'd be lying to you if I said anything. I have no idea. I just know that it's I don't know what part of what tradition. I just know that my friend told me that. The one that gave me the card, she's like, "Hey, it's traditional for you to get your first tarot deck as a gift." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So,
Well, we're gonna have to find out why.
you know what?
Effective.
I'll wiki it afterwards. As soon
All
as
right,
this, so it'd be like a part, like a little part two, like a little
for
teaser
sure.
after this.
Well, that's interesting. I just want to know because there has to be a reason behind it, and I can think of reasons that make sense to me, but who knows what the actual answer is.
Right?
So your mom did this. I could feel that leaving, and that would leave a bad taste in your mouth. But what it shows as well, though, is that like your family magic is like it's a thing for you. I'm gonna go see the magician. I'm not the magician, but I'm gonna go see the witch or whatever, like the dentist or something.
For my
But,
aunt,
but
not my mom. My
your mom
mom
just
did
uses
it.
it to
I
spy
don't. My
on you.
mom did it once. She did it that one time, and then after that, she's like, "Okay, no more." Which was weird because,
Ah.
like, I first went to that lady, which was my aunt's witch, whatever, and I was like, "Yo, mom, this lady said something really cool. You should check it out." Little did I know the bitch was gonna rat me out. That I was a little hoe at that age. So, you know, be
Well,
careful. Be careful what witch you trust.
how about this? Well, here's the thing too, right? To the skeptics out there, you're 19 years old. You have your first boyfriend. It's natural you're gonna have sex with him. How is that crazy if a tarot thing says it when it just seems like I think that's what happened anyways?
That's what I told her. Yeah, that's what I told my mom. Like, that's what kind of turned me off to tarot for a while, because I was like, this is dumb. Like, why is this lady saying this? These cards are stupid. But now I'm like, yo, this is actually really fun, and this is actually very interesting. Here's the thing about magic. It's sort of like that movie The Skeleton Key. You have to believe it to make it happen. Like, I personally don't like reading um with people like that I don't know. I
Oh,
don't,
you mean like
because
reading their cards? You mean?
yeah, I don't like reading their cards. Sorry.
Oh, so
There
you
you
have to
are.
read the cards of people you know.
No. You can read card. You as a reader can read whoever you want. People that you don't know, people that you do know. You can read it for yourself. You can read it for someone that you may not know. It's however the reader wants. I personally don't like reading the people that I don't know, because a lot of people don't believe in it. And so it's like, why am I going to waste my breath when something that I believe, and then, waste breath.
Ah, okay. So no, I know what you're saying. It's like God, right? People who believe in God, they believe in God. They have faith in him or her, or just the idea of God. Or people who don't believe, they're like, I just don't have that spark in me, so I can't believe. But I think,
I don't think
I
it's as intense as God. It's more like, I don't believe in the Ouija board. You know what I mean? Like, some people
oh,
do.
but if you want though, I've only done Ouija board once, and it's the easiest way to get people to reveal if they believe or not. I already did Ouija. I would have done it once, and people freaked out. Who knows?
I I I won't do it.
There you go. See, it's
I
like
won't do it. I won't do like a Ouija board. but no. But like to go back to to circle back to the question you had, I think I really, really got into it once I moved in with my best friend, which was about a year ago. She's actually a tarot reader. She's a very, very, very good tarot reader. And I have been learning a lot from her and just kind of been really inspired by her. And, she's discovering different sides of magic that I never knew, like oracle cards, or like different types of tarot cards. There's like the Raider Whites, and then there's like Gypsy Tarot, and then there's different kind that I didn't even know about. So over the past year, I've intensely learned about cooking and magic. Oh, and now enrolling a perfect blunt.
Those are good things to learn. So magic, wow, that's crazy. It's funny because I think most Latinx people, wherever they're from in Latin America, we all kind of grew up with magic, or we call brujeria, or there's like a sasteria. There's a sasteria like 3 blocks from my house. I could be
What's a sasteria?
Sasteria, I'm sure you call it like a botanica. There you go.
Okay. Yeah,
maybe I'm calling it the wrong thing. Maybe sasteria. I think sasteria.
No, sastres are tailors.
Yeah, never mind. Sorry, we had a tailor.
The only reason
botanica. There you go.
Yeah, the only reason why I know that word is because my grandpa was a sastre. That's
the
only reason I know.
The sasteria we had down the street from house was very mysterious. It had a lot of like mystery around it, so it felt like it was like a magician shop. I guess you're right. It's a botanica. Oh, I should know that. But there's a botanica. I don't know, just a few blocks from my house here. We can walk there, And then the Catholic Church is like a few blocks from my house as well, and like their gift shop is all mysterious and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like Catholicism has a lot of like magical elements to it. I mean, not just necessarily like the Jesus part. But I'm saying, like, just like when you go in there, like the lighting of candles and saying a prayer and having this thing.
Well, that's meditation. Meditation is power. And like, you don't have to be Catholic, or you don't have to have a religion to just know the realness of the magic of meditation, and just your like the power of your mind, the power of thought. Like I feel like I manifested magic with comedy. I manifested that I wanted a show at Second City, and I got it. And I don't know if you remember, but I had a 3-month stint at Second City with my old improv group called Fuck Shit Up.
I had no idea you guys had a 3-month run. That's awesome.
We had a 3-month run at Second City, and it was an idea that me and Josue, my ex-comedy partner, had, and it was improv based off of like deep psychological problems or like mental health. And so we wanted to bring mental awareness to the Latinx community. So we would always start off by giving out free resources to free mental health.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And then we would ask someone to give us a story, and then we would do improv based off of that. So
what is the relationship then between magic and mental health?
Magic? What is the damn, bro? You're giving me the fucking Miss America questions. Great. So I'm gonna start off by saying, great question, Mr. Fernando. What is the connection between magic and mental health?
Well, I'll give you some, just for summarizing it. My experience with magic, it's a solution to a problem. That is the most basic way I've always approached it. At least I was raised to approach it. It's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I believe in Jesus. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in God. Whatever. Man, I have a curse on me. I got to go see the neighborhood witch, or the neighborhood warlock. I'm having some gnarly dreams or feelings. I have to go talk to the neighborhood witch or warlock, and I have to go talk this out or something like that. You see
the word right there? The key word, talk. Like I feel like I know the answer now. The connection between mental healthness and magic is the therapy, or just the like talking about your problems. Like when you talk to my best friend's a tarot reader, and I try not to overhear her conversations, but I can't help it. And there's a lot of people that just want to talk, and they use her as a therapist. I know I went through a really, really gnarly thing in 2016 where I needed therapy, and I sought out professional therapy, professional help. But at the same time, I would go to the hood witch, the trap witch, excuse me, the trap witch. And I was her client for a whole year simultaneously during the same time as my therapist. And I'll tell you, it worked wonders for me because I had someone to listen to me.
What's funny too is you may go to a therapist, but they may not understand your background and your life experiences, and that may make it difficult to connect with them and have them help you out.
Yeah.
I know a lot of like people of color, that's their biggest complaint from what I can tell with therapy is that I can't find a therapist who looks like me or understands my experiences, and that creates a difficulty to connect. If you can't connect, you can't be vulnerable, and if you can't be vulnerable, you can't heal. So like you might get more value and comfort out of seeing your your hood witch, as you said, right?
Trap witch, yeah.
Your trap witch, because like they'll, if it's a good one, because there's bad ones out there, there's like white magic and black magic, right? So like if you find a good one though, they'll help you. I know last year I saw a wonderful tarot card reader. You should all check her out. Her name is Nancy Martinez. She's a sister of my friend Leslie Martinez, and Nancy, she did a reading for me, and it blew my mind, and it was good. But you know what? You're right. It was talking to someone in a safe space, where you feel supported and not judged, and maybe you're given a solution, maybe, or something to meditate on at the very least.
Yeah, I like to think of like tarot as like I said earlier, like kind of like a tool to kind of like just reflect as to what the problem really is and how it connects to like the stage of life that you're in. And that's pretty much what the tarot is. The tarot is a series of cards that represent different parts of life, like the Lover's card. Obviously the Lovers. The Fool, which is the first card, which is like starting a new adventure. A fool is anxious to start new thing. Death doesn't necessarily mean death, but it can mean like the end of a cycle. The Star card, trying to have hope. So it's really cool to just kind of reflect and be like, all right, what part of life am I in right now? And I don't know.
No.
I think it's my thing right now. I could also talk about other things. I like whiskey too. I could also talk about marijuana. It's just not just magic. I don't want people to think I'm a fucking kook here. Like, oh yeah.
Oh, it's okay.
I am, but still.
No. Everyone, Diosa is a variety of things. She's a very diverse person. She's not just a bruja.
Just a bruja, exactly.
Which you just outed yourself as a bruja, so everyone know it.
It's so yeah, sure.
World needs more witches though. No, I'm only asking because a little birdie told my ear that you have a new project coming out that's very magic related. So that's why I've asked all these questions. It's you have an interest in magic, which is obvious, but now you're taking that interest to another level, right?
Yes, I am. I'm about to actually start a podcast, a new podcast with a fellow bruja friend of mine. Shout out to Buzz Bunny Tarot. We're going to start doing a podcast on the history and mystery of magic. And it's going to be really cool because we're going to have information about different things that people might have, like, just want to be clear on, like what exactly is tarot or what exactly is magic? Is it bad? Is it good? And one particular episode or one particular part of the podcast is going to be really fun, which is called the verses. And the verses is where we analyze both the white part of magic and the black part of magic, because so I will be on the dark side team. And then my best friend's going to be talking about like good stuff, like white magic. So let me give you an example. So like one of the episodes, we're going to do something on meditation.
so we're singing. So she's going to focus more on the white side of the singing or magic, which is like meditation or, prayers that like sound like chants. And then I'm gonna go into the dark side of these chantings, and then talk about incantations and how people use songs to summon up demons. So we get to see the both sides of one thing. Like singing can be good, it could be used for good magic, but it can also be used for bad things, and it's really how you use it. We're not here to promote black magic. I'm not here to promote black magic. I'm not evil. I'm just really interested in knowing all aspects of life, and especially the dark side, because you have to know your dark side in order to shine. And I've always been a really big fan of that. I've always been obsessed with the term paradox, because I feel like that's what we are as humans. And as comedians, like, why I'm so sad that I'm going to make you laugh. It's a fucking paradox right there. My life is so fucking miserable. I fucking hate my wife. Let me make you laugh. That's a fucking paradox. So,
you do a lot of stand-up shows, huh?
I do. I know, right? Stop! I do, bro.
I've seen that comic before. I was like, oh, he's probably wearing like a New England Patriots jersey.
Oh my God, right?
Wow. So white magic and black magic. I think what you said though is you have to know your darkness, and any comedian out there knows your darkness. I know that since I was a young person, since I was a little kid, I think I have known I have a dark side, and I always do my best to, engage it as much as possible in terms of discovery, to know who I am and what I'm capable of, and to know that like you do have to have a light side. You do have to have morals and beliefs and stuff like that. Because if you let your dark side rampant, man, who knows what terrible shit would happen in the world.
It's also like, I think of like evil people, and it's like, it's the same. And also like people who are depressed, it takes the same amount to exert evilness, to exert that energy. Why not reconfigure and try to make magic into like, make it like better? You know what I mean? So yes. I don't know.
No, I think that's really cool. So when is this podcast dropping?
So it's in the works. It should be coming out mid-February. People can follow me on my Instagram page at Diosa no Joda. And also they should check out my friend's tarot page, Buzz Bunny Tarot. So they can get some readings and this kind of get like a sneak peek. We're both best friends. We're pretty fun. We're trying to make it funny. Trying to get some like guests on it to talk about. I want to talk to skeptics about magic. I just am interested in knowing the history and the mystery of it. And to me, it's fascinating. So,
Well, you got your first listener here because I am interested. I want more about this. I think it's really cool that you're doing that. A magic pot. I'm sure they exist. It's just like.
They do. And I will, for people who are listening to right now, if they want to get into like what our inspiration is, there's a specific podcast that I've been listening to called La Escóbula de Brújula. And it's a Spanish podcast, like from Spain.
Oh.
And it's like, and it's these like four guys that they sound like a lot of fun. Like a lot of fun. And they pretty much just talk about like occult stuff, but in a really funny way. I personally think the podcast is a little too long. It's 2 hours. A little bit
2 hours. Much. Fuck, who has 2 hours?
2 hours is a little bit too much for a podcast, but it's really fun. They're really entertaining, and they also like bag on their guests and stuff. So it's not like a serious thing, having fun. And I'm really excited for this project. I haven't been excited for anything creative because obviously the world was ending, and who has time to think about anything except our death, right?
You're a true comedian.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, silly. But now I'm ready to take this to the next level. I really have an interest for it. I feel like a lot of people do, and I want to kind of just share with like women of color too, like, hey, like this isn't evil. Like me learning about herbs and like healing myself isn't witchcraft and shouldn't be something radical. It should be something that we all know. And what a lot of people don't know too is that like alchemy, science, and like magic was all used to be like together. And like science has a lot of magic background. Like if you think about like the guy who discovered gravity, like imagine him saying like, oh yeah, there's this invisible force that kind of like puts things down and it keeps us, floating in space. It's called gravity. Yeah, no, trust me, it exists. Like wild. But
No, you're right. Some of those early breakthrough scientific thinkers were condemned by the church
yeah,
because their ideas didn't make the earth the center of the universe, or they made the earth, the cause of the earth wasn't God, it was something else. It was natural processes that were discovered and proven by science. So you're right, science is radical in a lot of ways. We just forget about it. And what's funny too? If you read a lot of comic books, Marvel comic books, I'm a big comic book nerd, so everyone knows. Sometimes when like superheroes are like fighting a magician and they're like, "Fuck, how do we beat this magician?" And then one scientist superhero was like, "Magic is just science we don't understand." And then they like figure it out and they beat the magician. So
that's exactly what it is. I have a lot of friends who are actual. I shouldn't say a lot. I have a couple of friends that actually are magicians at the Magic Castle. And it's like I've learned a couple of their tricks and I'm like, oh, this isn't magic, bitch. It's fucking an illusion here. So it's like, oh, sorry, I need to charge my phone. There we go.
No worries. Well, Diosa, I'm so excited for this new podcast then. We're going to be looking out for it. So I think we've come to our time. Is there anything else you want to share with us today?
No, just check out the podcast. Thank you so much for this. And let me know when we can do some improv or fucking some comedy stuff.
Oh, I know. We'll figure it out. I'm sure there'll be opportunities this year. Some online stuff. Who knows if we go back to the theater? I don't know. Yeah, we will do something. I promise.
Do you miss the theater?
Oh, of course. Who doesn't miss the theater? Everyone misses the theater, but I think people are either like, I'm not going back till theaters come back, or I'm going to do the best with this new digital medium and make that my theater. And like, that's where I'm at, just because it's better than nothing,
Yeah.
So this podcast wouldn't exist if there was no pandemic, because I'd rather do this live. I'd rather have this conversation with you on stage in front of an audience, live. But we can't do that right now. That doesn't mean we can't have most of it,
True. Well, thank you very much for inviting me onto your show. It's an honor. And thank you so much for letting me talk about magic.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Everyone, go check out Diosa's magic podcast when it comes out, her and her friend. I will have the links if it posts by then. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my podcast. I love you all. Thank you.
Subscribe. All right, ciao.